Hi everybody, welcome to the special episode of the Professor's Lab where I have 5 other professors with me. We are the Council of Professors and you have some questions and we're going to answer them today. Woo!
I wrote
Ben,
them
fire
out.
off that first question.
I wrote them out.
Present your dissertation.
Yes. Took me many a year.
Opening arguments.
Kicking it off, Grammar Paladin asked us, what inspired the gang to get together for Pokemon D&D? Was it the upcoming game or movie, or just a desire that we had beforehand? I think I would say it's the latter, but you can probably elaborate a little bit more.
Yeah, definitely the latter. I don't... start over.
Still rolling.
I was gonna reference the Patreon video. I was like, they can't watch that, so that's not fair.
That is not fair.
So
Keep it rolling.
yeah,
Still rolling.
Still rolling.
Still rolling.
So definitely the latter.
Yep.
I think we were wanting to make a board game channel initially, and then it slowly devolved into what we have now. While we were waiting and kind of brainstorming and building up the idea of making our YouTube channel, we decided that a Pokemon D&D campaign was something we wanted to do. So we did some kind of test runs and stuff to get started, and we enjoyed it a lot. So
Beta!
Yep, we did the beta sessions. I think most people that watch the lab series anyway have seen it at this point. So yeah, it wasn't.
Seen it?
Yeah.
The beta sessions?
They're out there.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're in the world. They're just not great.
They're very low quality, and none of us are actually on camera, just our hands.
Yes. It's like a zoom in of
what?
just this.
Yeah.
And
I think it
and
adds
you-
some, it
and
adds
you-
some mystery.
and you
You're
rolling
shaking
for
for
20
days.
minutes.
Alright, it wasn't that
Maybe
gesture.
don't make that
It
a
was.
little bit.
It was this gesture. It's different.
yeah.
Open palm.
Yeah.
Alright.
Is it more fondly?
Blind.
I think no curling fingers, just straight.
Oh boy. Okay.
Alright, we're off the rails.
Yeah. That took 2 seconds.
Yeah.
We're really good at that.
So yeah, basically the response is we started out as doing a beta session of it, and then it evolved into what you see now.
I was super into D&D and I wanted them to play it, and the only way I could think of to get them to try it was to pick a forum in which we would all be equally unequipped, so we made Pokemon D&D. That's a quick answer.
We found each other on Craigslist.
Yes. I put out an ad, men seeking men,
Somehow 2 women got
to play D&D.
Not very good at following
Yeah, I know.
instructions.
I'm really
That's
not
my
good
style.
at Craigslist.
Yeah. Don't worry about what we're doing on
Yeah.
Craigslist.
Don't worry about it. Oh my. Alright, save us from this.
Yeah, so this is
Delivered.
probably the biggest question asked by Grammar Paladin, Lucas Hill, Jab Warrior. A bunch of people had kind of the same iteration on it, but what were your character or Pokemon inspirations, the backstories, and did you make the characters around the Pokemon or vice versa?
Start it off.
Oh, dang, okay.
We're ready for that.
No, I'm usually deferring. I mean, I honestly don't even really remember. I think I made the backstory of Bentley's parents before I made Bentley, so I kind of worked backwards. I think it was like I wanted.
It's almost forwards.
That's how time goes. You
Yeah.
started with the generation
Yeah,
above.
and then
That's
they
fair,
had a
I
baby.
guess.
Yep.
But
Found
no,
you
I-
a pet.
I had the thought process of like
Small red man.
what like occupations I wanted them to have. So like Bentley's dad being a Pokemon breeder, and then kind of his mom being the metallurgist working with like the old amber to create new expensive Pokeballs, and just by proxy of what those two were doing as a career, it made sense to have Magmars as their Pokemon, and then from there it just made sense that Bentley, their son, would have a Magby as his starter. So I'm pretty sure that's how I went about it. I think I made the backstory of Bentley's parents before I made Bentley. I didn't really give all too much thought about Bentley because I figured I could like play him and kind of like feel it out and figure it out from there. But that was essentially how I got the inspiration for my character's backstory, in that he has parents who have pretty interesting occupations, and then how I got Mortar. So I
Was
think
that intentional though? Was that like you didn't know what you wanted to do as a D&D character, so you're like, I'm gonna leave it kind of open-ended?
probably? I mean, I think it was more like it was just, again, like working backward, like what would his parents do? Because I think I went into it of like, I want my character to be like how it works in the Pokemon universe, where they like start off as children, like they get a starter and then they go on an adventure when they're really young.
Right.
So there wasn't a whole lot of like backstory for Bentley, because he's just like a kid who enjoys Pokemon, and I was like, okay, well, I'm into like Pokemon battles, maybe Bentley is too, so that kind of stemmed he watches like pro battling on TV and was more of a loner, and that's kind of what kicked all of that off, I guess.
All right.
I want to jump in real quick. Drew and I were discussing this at lunch, and we collectively came up with these characters around October, November 2017.
Yep.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long
Yeah.
time.
It's been quite a long time.
I don't feel as bad about not remembering my process.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I found the pictures of the original whiteboard sketches of like, this is how I think stats would work, and then like 2 weeks later we had characters.
Awesome.
So it was kind of
Working fast.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting process for me in that I didn't just go like, this is the Pokemon I want, all right, I'm gonna build everything else from there. It was kind of like one of the last things that happened was that, which is maybe the opposite of what other people did, but I don't even really know what
For sure.
y'all were thinking. To Joel, do it!
Why no?
Ping
Oh, we're not gonna ping
Oh,
pong?
we're gonna go around.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Popcorn.
So mine was similar to Ben's. I didn't really know Gen 2 that well, in all honesty. So I just focused on who I wanted to be in the game. So I decided on a name, and then that I wanted him to be out there, doing his thing on his own, wild boying it up. And I figured in the wild, kind of roughing it on his own, what would be the best Pokemon to kind of encounter randomly. And I figured Totodile would work, a snappy little alligator out there doing a wild man thing himself. And then, I don't know, that was really it. And then I kind of built the backstory of who CJ was from that point and turned it into a whole narrative thing. Yep.
Don't sue me if Crash bites you either, so that's
Yeah,
fine.
that'll be fine.
That'll be okay.
You'll be
Don't worry
okay.
about it.
You'll be fine.
Take it away.
My process was a lot different just because I don't know much about Pokemon. So I chose my Pokemon purely off aesthetics. I went through
Nice.
all the Pokemon that had been released at the time because they were gracious to let me do that. And I chose basically all like dog Pokemon that were the cutest, and they evolved the cutest. And then from there, I had like 7 or 8, and I made stories for each of those. And I feel like I took the longest to come up with one because I would always be like, well, this doesn't make sense anymore. But I knew that I wanted to be a person that wasn't from the same region because I didn't know anything about Pokemon. So from there, I just kind of stuck to the basic idea of being in a different land, not knowing Pokemon, kind of doing things with my family that didn't have anything to do with Pokemon. So I, thought at the time. And then kind of drilling down from there. And that was kind of my process. It was just like,
Nice.
don't know Pokemon,
Yeah.
what's the cutest? That's great, let's go with that.
But you used that, like you integrated that
Yeah.
into the character, yeah.
Yes. So I had like a few of them that I worked with, but then I was
Yeah.
like, which one evolves the cutest and which one is the best when it
Which,
evolves?
frankly, that's a great way to live your life.
Which one is
Like,
going to be a
what's-
buzz?
Which one is gonna be the best when it evolves?
Just a Venn diagram of good stats and cuteness and whatever.
Yes.
Exactly.
I know, because I looked at all of your guys' when you guys got yours done. I was like, man, mine's the weakest, but it's the cutest, so I don't care. But I really like the idea of doing like adventuring because I knew I've only done D&D once, and so I just kind of wanted a character that was who I was when I was younger. I was very adventurous, went camping, did exploring, so that was going to be easy for me to do. And then just found a Pokemon that worked really well, and that was Rockruff.
What about like the thought process for how you built out Tegan specifically? Because she has like kind of an interesting backstory
Yeah, you
that's
showed
still
up.
getting.
She showed up first day, like notebook filled with all of the. I was like, oh my god! They're like, were we supposed to write a book? Like,
Well, half that book is all of my ideas that Drew shot down.
oh okay.
There were, I think, 7 that I went, just dial it back a little
I went a little
bit.
too far and too
You're up here,
specific.
come down to here.
And he's like, you need to do more of a broad stroke. Because I was just like, okay, A to Z. This is what my life is. He's like, no,
I was
no,
like,
no,
you're
no.
14. The coolest part of your life should not have been when you were 12. Should be what's coming.
So, to answer your question, I kind of, since I don't know much about Pokemon, I kind of wanted to keep that reserved. So Tegan was going to be someone that came from like a troubled past, didn't know what she was doing, meeting new people, and being kind of like that mysterious person that's just kind of
Right.
learning through other people.
Yeah, I think it's cool too that she has like this like side story of her own character where it's like you are going through the campaign with the Pokemon, but then there's the intrigue of like Tegan needs to figure out this other part
Have
of
her
what's
own
going
in-
on,
yeah.
which kind of has different roads, as it
Yes.
were. It's cool.
Many roads.
As we all know.
The universal sign for many roads.
Universal sign of many
It
roads.
is now. Just an animation of Jordan. Like, there's many roads coming up.
So like a meme. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
Oh, goodness.
There are many roads.
I don't
with this
remember
one.
what video that was from. Was it Arcade Quest?
That's Arcade Quest.
Oh god.
Many
What are you
roads.
doing?
No.
Sorry, bro.
Oh.
This is so ridiculous.
My turn.
Beeps!
My turn. I started from the Pokemon I would like, and then extrapolated from there. So I started out with Nubster, and then his fudged up nose, and then the backstory to that, and then why would Phoebe have known Nubster, and the relation. So it all came from the core is Nubster. At my core,
Monster is my heart.
he is me, and I am him. So he's the origin, and everything else is kind of built around that. I didn't even think about my parents until I was asked to come up with a background. How did you come into being? Nubster, you laid an egg.
One day
Here I
Nubster
came.
needed me, so I was there.
But yeah, I bounced a lot of ideas with Joel and coming up with Phoebe and like Nubster's story a little bit, but it really did kind of revolve all around him. So then I kind of end up with her working at a hospital, and then from there kind of she's a weirdo. I'm awful at role playing, and so I was like, I don't want to go too far into like some character that I'm gonna have to like commit to.
Yep.
So in that respect, I tried to keep some aspects of her personality like close to mine, so I didn't have to be too like out there and feel weird.
I
Or
think-
be able to maintain it over
Yeah,
a length of
yeah,
time
yeah.
is what I thought too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us did a really good job of that, like almost inadvertently. Like, I'm not gonna box my character into like this is who my character is, and a lot
Yeah.
of us more so let the campaign play out. It's like, oh, this event shaped who
Yeah.
my character is, and kind of letting it. And I think it makes sense. Granted, your character is older than the other characters, I believe.
Yeah, I didn't want to be a straight up child because I was like, there's
Yeah.
no way she's working at a
Right.
hospital and has seen like this stuff and it's just like, I'm 12 and I'm like,
You're the intern.
yeah, yeah. They're like, what are you doing here, child? But
Child, get out of it.
But I'm helping.
but yeah, and then the other part of it too is just having not really played D&D. Yeah, I think it was trying to not box it in too much and to kind of have fun with it in that respect and not feel too pressured to have to do any kind of specific thing and to kind of roll with it, get comfortable with it.
Was there a reason for the messed up nose that you decided on?
No, like that came first, and then the story came from behind it. Like, why would he have a jacked up nose? Like some kind of underground.
But was there a reason
ring.
why you wanted the Sweetnut to have a messed up nose? It just
Well, I'm like, what could make him like distinct?
Unique.
Yeah, like why just a sweet up? And I was like, okay, let's come up.
I think part of it was you were talking about like wanting to help Pokemon and work in a hospital, and it's like, why was the Sweenup there?
right.
Cool.
Really? I thought it started from Nubster.
We're going with that because that's her
Nubster
core.
was the
Well, I mean, if
core.
you decided you wanted,
You wanted a Nubster.
I'm pretty
or
sure
a
I came up with
Sweeney.
Nubster first because
You
that's
did.
what I want. I
You
want a
did.
Sweeney.
You did.
Yeah.
But then,
wanted a Nubster.
But then it was in the hospital, and you met at the hospital,
Right.
and then the thought was, well, why was he there?
Right, yeah.
I'm gonna,
Again,
2 years ago.
yeah.
Nubster is the sun of the solar system.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think
the
that was
center
something unique that you and I both did, and we didn't talk about it beforehand, but you had something that was unique just to Nubster, and I had something that was unique just to Mortar with his massive arm that made him
Yeah.
almost unable to walk out of the egg, which is why it's like, oh, he's kind of been ostracized by the other babies.
Yeah.
So
Koa has a necklace.
Can
Doesn't
be
that
yours.
count?
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I was definitely the most lazy in coming up with these backstories. I was just like, I'm a wild boy. I was
But
just doing my thing.
yours also functioned as like a narrative thing.
Yes,
It's like,
it was.
oh, it was connecting Koa to your parents, and because Tegan doesn't know a whole lot about Pokemon, it was like, okay, I'm open to this Pokemon
Yes, that was
because
part
there's
of
this connection.
The conversation I had with Drew, because I was like, I would be terrified to see a rock ruff in the middle of nowhere. I wouldn't know what to
Right.
do. But if there was some way, and he had suggested some kind of article from my parents, and so kind of went
Okay.
from there.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Tia, for 1,000 in-game dollars, can you name all of your Sweeney right now?
No,
because
do it.
on the fly, on like the first episode, I came up with them like in the moment. I remember Peppa,
Yeah.
Jazz,
Yeah.
Timu,
That's all I remember.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nubster.
yeah.
I know one that you don't. We can do it together.
Yeah.
Let's get the $1,000.
Raz.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of these. So.
I knew Peppa.
That's 5.
Did you say Sika?
Sika.
Rebel?
Rebel.
You're close. You're close.
How many do you need? 3
9.
Is
I think
Sika
there's 9.
Corsica?
I need 3 more.
Yeah. Or was there 11? There's 11.
No, there was 10.
Oh.
Including
Can you do it?
Oh, including him, not 10 and then 11.
Yeah, he's part of the group. Came in. I don't remember the last
The
30.
biggest.
Oh.
Those are not her
It's
favorite.
been way too long.
The only one I can remember that you forgot is Sylvester.
Okay, yeah.
Alfred.
So that leaves 1 left.
Oh,
Mm.
poor baby.
You're one forgotten child.
No, I love you.
Like they're out there in the universe watching. Go to bed.
That one needs to get an extra pet if we ever go back to
I'm just
All of them.
obsessed
I'm
with
sure
it.
by the time you guys get there, you're gonna forget about this, and then you're gonna be like, "Which one did I forget again?" And I went,
Probably.
I love all the Sweeney
Yeah.
people. Like you. you're great.
And Fuzzy.
Oh my god.
Look at you cuties.
and fuzzy.
Yeah.
Just going down the line and they just mumble. You're like, oh yeah, Alfred, Sylvester. All right, so 1,000 in-game dollars down the drain. But there will be time in the double elimination round robin for you to make that back up.
Boom.
For me, it was the same deal as Tia because my favorite Pokemon of all the Pokemon is Murkrow. And as a
He
human,
just loves birds.
I was about to say, as a human being, I love birds.
He loves birds.
So, you know how.
If we have a child, it would be a conure.
The Big Year was his favorite movie.
That is a good movie, though.
It is.
Respectfully.
It's alright.
So my thought process was, how could I
He's
have
doing a big year.
a Murkrow as a starter Pokemon? Because typically in any Pokemon media, they're like bad guys or like part of the mafia or whatever. And so I was like, why would I have one without being like a bad guy? And
Aren't they also meant to be like bad omens? Too?
yeah. So it was just like, how can I cater that to it? Double 2 birds, 1 stone. I could have Monty and surround myself with more birds.
Birds, 1 dusk stone.
Everything is about being around with birds.
"So many birds."
So I came up with the idea of like mail delivery and Pidgeys because I think that's been in like a movie or an anime or something. And so, you know, then it was the same kind of deal with Nubster. Well, how did I come to meet Monty? So we came up with the idea of like everyone in my family gets an egg to raise, and mine just happened to be that, and they don't know why or how it got there.
and they don't like it.
Yeah, they don't like it at all. And so I kind of wanted to add another thing to my plate. Like, I didn't want it to be just about like catching Pokemon or getting all the gym badges. So I worked with Drew to come up with Monty's kind of like mail quest, so he could, you know, even though they don't like that he's doing the job, he could still get there one day. So he came up with the equivalent of like delivering mail badges, and so that was just kind of a thing for me to also do on the side. So that's kind of where that came from. Same kind of boat as Bentley. I don't really think I put too much thought into Milo, thinking that, you know, we're young and so stuff will happen to make me the person that I will be. The only kind of trait I imbued in him was his first and foremost priority being Monty and like getting that done. So if it was, and that was kind of more for me as a player, as a restraint. Like, if I have to make a decision and one of them involves that quest in any way, I'm gonna pick that, even if like I don't want to. So that was kind of like a fun thing for me as a challenge to throw on there. So that's where that came from.
Nice.
What about your trainer?
Oh, you know, mine are just really fun.
Isn't his name Isaac?
Yeah, Isaac Hannigan.
Yep.
That's it. That's the guy. I love everything about Isaac. He's great. He has a mirror, and the artist made fun of it, and I still think it's great. No, I love
His
Isaac.
partner's a furret?
Yeah, I have it's a Lanoon,
Oh,
you egg.
Right.
I have a Lanoon and a Laren.
Yes.
And
I don't even know what those are.
is that ever gonna see the light of day? I don't
just
know.
do it. Just do it.
Okay.
Is this a real thing?
Yeah. Isaac Hannigan
Awesome,
is
bro.
great.
I never met.
He is a cowboy, and he has a Laren that he uses as cover in firefights, and he has a Lanoon that he uses to spy. And he is based off of Cowboys and Splinter Cell, and he's very fun.
He is a very fun.
He is a
He's
very
so
fun
very
guy.
fun.
He's
Who's
great at
fun?
parties. He does a lot of parlor tricks, and he is great.
All right, moving on.
Yeah, save me, deliver me from this improv nightmare.
So-
Get me out of here.
The following questions are all from D-Swag. One of them that we can handle really quickly is, what was everyone's experience with D&D before Drew? Absolutely zero.
Yeah.
We all
What
got into
happened?
it because of Drew, and before this campaign we had beta, which we already
Yeah.
touched
So
on.
like 2016 was the year 1 BD, so it was before Drew, and then
Yeah, I was born a 20-something-year-old. Oh, okay,
Benjamin
cool.
Button right here.
I emerged one day from a portal.
So,
and I'm
Drew-
here to teach you about D&D.
Drew was the one who went to go play D&D and like learn about it and figure it out, and he was the one like coming to board game and like, guys, you gotta play D&D with me, and we're like, we're not nerds, and then
Well, yeah.
No, I was totally down, and I made my little fox character, La
Yeah.
Ti Da. I loved her.
It's just one of those things you're not interested in, but if someone's passionate about it,
You do it.
like you're like, oh,
suffer and
you
you do
piqued
it.
my interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I have to be honest, and I don't. You guys can say otherwise, but my sort of idea of what it was, just like growing up and hearing what I did about it, is completely different from what it actually is.
100% agree.
I
I don't-
I just had like a caricature like idea of what
Yeah.
I had no idea really.
I didn't really know all that much about it, and I feel like more of the apprehension was like fleshing out a full-blown character was
Yeah.
like kind of too daunting unless it was something I was going to do for a long period of time.
Right.
So maybe that was why it was more just like, I don't know. But then once Drew eventually convinced, I was like, oh, this is actually super fun.
Do you remember your first character's name?
La Ti Da.
I do not.
She
I don't
butt
remember beta or.
Oh
or
yeah, I
the
forgot about that one that we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically I've done two.
Con Beard Facet.
Oh, Beard
Yeah, you guys have one before
Yes.
I came.
Con Beard Facet.
How do you remember that? That's amazing. Con Beard Facet. He was my
Steel trap.
my dwarf.
Trap.
It was the best. And then Joel's dad wanted to play as Legolas, and we're like,
Oh
no.
yeah.
No,
Not allowed.
his was Link Z.
But it's
Basically, he's just like,
He was
I want to be
Legolas.
Legolas or Link, and we were like, no, you gotta come up
Creativity
with
with
something
that
a little
one.
bit better.
He was my favorite person to introduce to the game because his creativity knows no bounds.
The only moment
It's so
that I
good.
think is
Oh,
like truly
it's
worth
bounded.
retelling
Oh.
was he got to get a final kill, and Drew asked, "Hey, how do you want to kill this last orc?" And he said, "I want to take a bow out of my quiver and I want to shoot him in the head."
verbatim.
That is what he said.
just, efficient.
Yes.
Waste no time.
It was great. He was like, "Yeah, I don't want to risk it. If I get too crazy, then it won't work." And I was like, "You killed it."
I think the honest answer is
already
I
dead.
can't think of anything else, but
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Joel, do you remember your first character's name?
no. I remember like my last
Remember
five.
Pete Slitherfoot?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. That's
Pete.
embarrassing.
Pete Slitherfoot.
We've had a lot of one shots in like
Yeah.
recent times. So I
Do you
remember
remember your
those.
bird's name?
Yeah, of course.
You wouldn't forget the bird.
Yeah.
True.
Yes. I know that's the
That's
least
really the
surprising
important crux of
thing.
it
Yeah.
here.
He forgot all of us, but the bird.
The bird remains.
Never forget.
So, also from D-Swag, do your hobbies or jobs in the real world affect the way that you play your PCs in any way?
No.
No?
Only because, like, my leading up to it and kind of for the majority of it, I worked in retail, and I have
Retail.
very little patience for people. So
Customer service?
I definitely do not bring that over into the campaign.
Yeah, that's fair.
Definitely
Yeah,
don't at
I
all.
don't think so.
A little bit. Just, CJ is a really stupid 12-year-old boy. I get to experience that often. So, weird.
Context, please.
I'm a teacher, so I'm around that age of child often, and I can
Draw inspiration.
draw inspiration from
You
that.
have first-hand
Definitely.
experience.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say no, but I went to journalism school, so when Drew introduced the character who was a journalist, I was like, oh, this would be fun to interact with, because I feel like I would interact with someone of that profession differently than maybe everybody else would, but then we couldn't find her, so we'll see if that happens. But I feel like in those types of situations where it's like if I kind of knew about the background of an NPC, I would maybe interact with them differently, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's inadvertent for me. I work at a hospital, and I guess Phoebe does. But that was not intentional. That wasn't like, oh, an inspiration.
We're never gonna run into an accountant, so I'm good.
We might.
Never
And then my 14-year-old self, all right, let's talk numbers. What's the credits? Let's do it.
All right, we're entering the town, and what's this town called? Accountant Town. What?
Perfect.
Oh
Another question from D-Swag. What was the most memorable moment in the game thus far?
no. When Ben's Charmander melted a Machop.
That was
Beta.
It haunts me to this
for
day.
sure from Matt. That's tough.
I think for me, it's Bentley's upcoming or recently seen Xantha Gym battle. I won't spoil it, but things happened in that were the most fun that I've had playing D&D, which was interesting. So yeah, again, no spoilers, but that was probably my most memorable moment.
Yeah, I'll piggyback that. There's a moment that I've never been more glad we were filming in that session.
Nice.
That's a good point.
Intriguing.
I can't say mine.
Okay, sure.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get there.
Yes.
I'm gonna pick one that we have seen, and for me, it is
Mareep.
Oh my god, that's the least favorite. Least.
For me, it was the end of session 2 that ended with Phoebe getting bit, because it was the first time in my like D&D history that a roll seriously dictated the narrative.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh snap, this can happen.
Yeah.
And just kind of like having that happen and being like, oh god, so like this, when I roll this die, it means something,
Right.
and that for me was
No, that's definitely a great choice because I feel like we've had a lot of those moments since that where it's like, oh come on, please, like Bentley falling off the bridge because he rolled a 1 on said bridge. Like,
Yeah.
so much of it is rolls dictating narrative, so that's really what creates those memorable moments.
Yeah.
I would say.
But I don't think we've had in any other one shot or anything like that had a role that impacted the story as much as that one did in the moment.
Yeah.
And like just
Yeah.
realizing that was a thing for me.
I can't say what mine is now, but so I'll just replace it with meeting Geodude for the first time in the wild.
Dude. So another one from D-Swag, final one from D-Swag. Was there a time that you were really worried about TPK, total player kill? Marie.
Yeah.
Marie.
Yep.
Nothing more needs to be said.
I felt so guilty after that.
Reap.
And like if there's ever been a lesson from that, for me it's been like throw a Pokeball, figure it out later.
Yeah. I feel like it was that much
And
worse.
also that we will go to bat for your desires.
Yes, exactly.
I think it was that much worse.
Marie!
Everybody throw it at him.
Yeah, we're like, how bad could this be?
I think that was
and
my
then we're
one
like, oh,
ticket
this can be
that's been
terrible.
torn.
Yeah. At least with Tegan it has been, because I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, that was. I mean, Koa had to roll death saves.
Yeah.
That was early in
It
the
was-
campaign.
Yeah. Very, very early.
That's like I'm sad because Mareep is like my second favorite Pokemon, and so I was like that really sucks because now there's not really a narrative reason for me to get one again.
Unless you meet the same
If anything,
one.
you should hate Marie.
I know, right?
As a
So
character.
that's kind of a bummer, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
That was the closest I have come to, I think, a player riot. So I was terrified. I've only ever had one TPK ever, and I felt really bad for it. But I gave the party like a million chances to leave, and they didn't leave. And then Shia LaBeouf came and killed them, and they didn't think that I would do it, and I did it.
Fair.
All I'm saying is if Koa died, we would have had an on-film funeral.
Oh yeah, easily,
That would have been.
absolutely.
Bring my
that would
little dude
happen.
with me, we'd
That
bury
would
him.
have been a
You would
very
have like
dark.
full on.
I would have cried. I'd be like, no. I'd have been ugly crying.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
episode.
Definitely, yeah. that-
Everybody watching is like, wow, they're really method with this. It's like, no.
This is just
It just reminds me of my own dog.
So moving on, Magician Tronic asks, what's one thing you feel extremely similar to your PC and one thing you are total opposite with them? I've been thinking about this question a lot and I don't know how to answer it.
Birds.
Of course he has an easy answer.
He really likes birds.
I do.
I mean, I think the extremely similar is just that I really like Pokemon and Bentley obviously really likes Pokemon. Opposite, I don't know. I feel like I probably have a lot more like social anxiety than Bentley does. Like Bentley's pretty open with like talking to whoever and asking questions and like I'm ready to take on this gym, whereas I'd just be like sitting in the corner with a flop sweat probably. So
Analyzing everything.
yeah, like just overthinking everything where Bentley doesn't really have that. So I feel like that's probably the biggest difference.
Me and CJ are both very. It'll be fine. Just go with it. It's gonna be great. Keep it going. Keep moving forward.
Lucy.
I am a very open person, whereas CJ is not at all.
Okay. Okay.
Me not knowing Pokemon as Kelsey is the same with Tegan. And Tegan and Kelsey are both very reluctant to trust people and think that everything's going to be a bad situation. I'm a kind of like a half empty, not half full kind of person, which I've been trying to work on, but we're pretty similar in those aspects.
It's also
different.
a good D&D instinct, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause
especially in this campaign.
In this campaign, everything ends up, are we gonna die? Yes, we're gonna die, so let's just
Even
do
the things
it.
that ended up good, like this tree might.
Yeah, I know what this
It's just a tree.
It's-
I don't trust
We
it.
didn't trust a tree sitting in the middle of the road, so
That's a close second to Marie for me.
That's
yeah.
a good. That was great.
It's just I'll just put a tree in the middle of the
See
road.
what they do. We don't trust it.
What that? It's
Why?
a tree.
Why?
Yeah.
Why
What's
is
it
there?
doing?
If it's
just
out of the
standing
ordinary,
there.
I'm not gonna trust it first off.
menacingly.
What's its motivation?
It's a tree.
To grow tall.
It's photosynthesizing.
To be your friend and carry
to
all your
grow towards the
Pokemon.
sun. and absorb water. That's about it.
God.
What about you, Phoebe?
Well, I guess kind of to roll it back, there's a lot of bits about Phoebe that are the same, so I'm a little awkward. Phoebe's for sure awkward, and I think I took that to kind of an extreme. I accentuated that with her, or I tried to. That's probably like rolled back a little bit.
Was it Derek when you're like, wash your hair?
Yeah,
Yes.
I tried to like play it up,
Yes.
yeah. And then everyone was just like staring at me. I was like, perfect. Like,
It worked. It worked. Yeah, it was great.
And then I think the other part of it is like, I guess I'm like a really empathetic person, and she's really like compassionate and cares about Pokemon, and I'm kind of the same way. Differences.
Yeah, it's hard to choose differences. I think
Yeah.
as Kelsey, I would be more apt to like jump into battle and like try and help my friends. But Tegan, knowing nothing about Pokemon,
Right.
having almost had Koa die, is like, yeah, okay, no, I'm good. I don't really
Yeah.
want to fight. Let me throw my shoe at you and let's do that instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of hard for me to disentangle like what I would do and what PB would do, and I'm trying to get better at it. But it is kind of hard. Like I said, I kind of took aspects of me and put it in that, so I wouldn't have to be so out there, which maybe is a negative thing, that I would be too much in my own head and not as the character. So I'm trying to do that, but I don't really have something that I'm like, I'm the polar opposite with respect to Phoebe, yeah, as a character.
Birds.
Well, I'm also not 12.
I'm not 14. I don't have an accent.
Yeah.
Those are the easy
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah, accent is an easy one.
Nah, prove it.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't believe you.
You can't do that.
This is where I'm putting on the accent.
Yeah, no, every other video and in life, he's lying to you.
I kind of going back to what I was saying earlier. So there's been a lot of times throughout the campaign where I'm having to make a decision to further the kind of mail delivery path. Kind of forces my hand to go one way when I, as a person, want to go another. I'm all about like the adventure and like what kind of nonsense would we find if we went down this way, but as I've been kind of taking Milo how I envision him, there have been a couple times where he's like, I'm going this way, and I just kind of have to go with it because I want to see where I don't want to hinder his character because I want to do something. So that's where I would say our biggest difference is. I would definitely, especially in the context of like none of this is real, I'm much more willing to like put everything at risk, but Milo's not, so I don't let it happen.
It's still real to me.
So like if I'm playing a video game or a board game, 100%, like let's get crazy and do whatever. But
If this was real life, oh my gosh.
Is it difficult for you to play as that? Because if
You have to
Joel is
restrain
wanting
yourself?
to do something, but you know that Milo isn't or wouldn't, is that a challenge?
Not really, because I kind of think about it in between sessions now at this point, because we've been doing it long enough that like, hey, this is coming up, what would Milo want to do? And I'm not thinking about what I want to do. So there are times where and I think I'll tell Drew this sometimes too, outside of session, where I'm like, I think this is going to happen. It's kind of lame. Like, I don't really want to, but it's what he would do. So just heads up, like, this is something I'm going to do. So yeah, there are times where like I think of that and I'm like, this is kind of lame and like not really fun from a gameplay perspective, but it's what he would do. So.
Yeah.
But I'm also a huge like narrative nerd. Like I just love the story of it, and I think it's kind of not as fun if I can be like, oh yeah, let's do all this and like have it all planned out. And if you have those wrenches in the way that like make me go a place I wasn't thinking of because what the character would do, you can see like how that affects the story. Yeah. Instead of like trying to dictate what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
All right, so next one is, what's a moment you've been through that you as a person would act differently than your character?
Mareep.
Everything defaults to Marie.
The
I mean,
tree.
The tree,
if
would
it
be
was-
differently.
Yeah, the tree we would have
I
been
love
like,
trees.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's.
I mean,
I
I feel like
loved it.
I feel like a lot of it is just like a lot of D&D is you're not playing with your eyes, because Drew is like explaining And like as me, if I saw something, I'd be like, oh, I know what Pokemon this is, or like, oh, I know that that's a tree and not a Pokemon. But because I don't have that, it's like it kind of informs the decisions I make thereafter, which is, I mean, it makes it more interesting from a narrative perspective, but also it frustrates player Ben.
No, that's why
I just want to know what it is.
There are some gym choices that would be different from me and not Milo.
Yeah. I feel like I'd be the same way about like gym stuff. Like I can have a competitive streak, but not like it comes out in weird ways. Like and I think I would have with Gloom. I would have tried harder. That's Tia. I would have been like.
The problem, well, I won't get into it, but I was gonna say the problem is you weren't there when that happened.
What?
We were at Arthur's house, and she like rode off.
Yeah,
without it.
well that's
so,
true.
Like, you couldn't
but
really
like,
stop.
yeah.
It would have had to have been more go for it in
When
the
you
moment.
saw it.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
I think as a like if I was playing the game, I would have been like immediately. I would have been like, yeah.
That's another thing that's really interesting about D&D is being someone who's played a lot of the games is, you know, you're walking along and you're like, a ladybug, kill it for XP. Where in this, you're like, oh, it's kind of cool and has a neat personality. I'll add that to my team. And, like, I've never used a Diglett before in a game. And, like, it's just completely different in that respect.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a difference for me too, whereas like me in a game, it's like, oh, that's a cool Pokemon, I'm gonna catch it, versus this, where it's like, I'm very like narrative driven of, is there a reason why Bentley would try and catch this Pokemon, or did it have a meaningful interaction that would necessitate catching it kind of thing?
Tegan's just clueless. If it's cute, I want it on the team without having to battle it.
Or catching it.
Yes.
Because morals.
Yes. It's so mean.
I think going back to the beta sessions, one of my main Pokemon was an Ekans that became an Arbok, and like that's
Which was just insane.
And you also
Power Spike was gross.
Really good.
So
Yeah.
beast.
It's so good.
Yeah.
But like that's again in a game, I'm never like, oh, sick an Ekans, and like you
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this campaign so much fun for those of us that like play Pokemon, is we can catch and use Pokemon in D&D that maybe in the games stink, like Ladybug, but in D&D they're actually pretty good and can hold their own, and they function differently than they do in the game. So it's almost more fun to try out Pokemon that you otherwise never would play with in the games.
You get to do the Ash method of like.
Yeah.
Type advantages don't matter.
It's still contingent on the rolls, but that at least gives you wiggle room where you can do an Ash and be like, dodge it.
And also up to this point, it's been
You're like, no,
forced
you don't get to
because you only have 2 or 3 Pokemon. That's what you're going with. Good luck. So you kind of are forced into the, okay, this is going to be an uphill battle. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun to play as that too, where it's like, all right, this is the deck that I have. Let's see if I can win.
And it's kind of funny because we get some comments every now and then on like, how come you can only have 3? Why can't you have 6? And I think from an outside perspective, I would feel the same, but playing, I really enjoy the like challenge of it and the balance of it, because there's nothing worse than some big like cause-like combat where there's 15 Pokemon out and you're like, I do this, and then you have to wait for like imagining doubling that is like I wouldn't want to play that.
I mean, especially early on when y'all had 3 Pokemon and I still had 2, it was like those big group battles, I just felt like I was doing nothing and not really helping out.
Yeah.
But like doubling the size, like there's
Yeah.
a very common sense reason why our teams are teams of 3 and not teams of 6.
I
Like,
forget,
that'd be a lot.
I forget enough in like a one-on-one.
Yeah.
When you add like 40 things and they all have abilities, and I'm the one that made them, and y'all are like, how does this work? And I go, what did I write? What does it say? What does it say?
what did I write down?
It's bad. My memory's terrible. So
Another question from Magician Tronic. Did you imagine that your series would be as popular as it is at this stage?
No.
Hell yeah, we're awesome.
No.
No.
Not
No.
a chance.
I honestly, I thought we would get like 15 people that were like, this is cool, and then we would have like our little niche in the corner where we're already like,
We're closing in on 800.
800.
Yeah.
it's terrifying.
I thought based on how the beta videos did, with absolutely no like actual channel around it, these are just videos that we put out. I thought that there was definitely a market for Pokemon D&D. I didn't think it was going to happen like this, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's been pretty cool.
I think it was like, I mean, even with board games, narrowing in on a niche that hasn't really been hit to death on YouTube, like with video games, like obviously that's a massive community, but with this, it's kind of like something that's still in the starting stages, still growing, and I mean, obviously we were lucky enough to start this and have people who want to watch it, which is awesome. So another one from Magiciantronic, last one from Magiciantronic. What's the one thing you are most surprised by your community? And I mean, I'll kick it off
I
by
want to
just
see his answer.
The artwork of Nubster.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm blown away by like the creativity, and I love the fact that you guys go and do your own thing. Like you use this as sort of like a catalyst for your own campaigns and whatever it is. I seriously died for the entire rest of the night when I saw the Dumpster cartoon.
Join our Discord. It's only $1. You can see the beauty that is.
It was incredible.
The Nubster memes.
the clap of Nubster's ass cheeks.
Yeah, the world's a better
Phenomenal.
place. It's
Yeah.
I'm really happy that a lot of you are starting your own campaigns, because that's really, really cool to me that y'all are seeing this and like going out and doing your own thing. I think that's super awesome, and I think more of you should do that.
Yeah, I think I would just say like I've been surprised by how like warm and welcoming y'all have been, and how you've really made it your community as much as our community, and just like how understanding y'all are and how supportive you guys are. Like that, I mean, reading your comments is just a daily pick-me-up, which is awesome.
Always
So
positive.
keep those coming.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the thing that's most surprising, because the internet can often be a disgusting place, and y'all are kind of proving the opposite daily. So I'm really appreciative of that.
That's what I was gonna say is my favorite thing, is just the love. Like our little bubble is so positive and
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And the engagement in that is so cool, because that does not happen normally.
No.
No.
Ever.
I kind of feel
There's
like
always trolls.
So this is kind of a weird question to end on, and one that we maybe touched on a little bit, but Jab Warrior asks, was making everyone young kids a coincidence, something done by Drew, or something done by the players? I think it's parts of coincidence and parts of done by the players, in that at least us three made them kids, kind of knowing the background of how the Pokemon universe works.
Yes.
Tia made Phoebe older because it made sense for her character working in the hospital. I think.
intentionally.
I had a character that was like 25, and then when I heard about their ages, I was like, I'm not gonna be babysitting, so I'm going to go younger.
I think, at least for me, I was thinking that this was going to be a Pokemon game as a campaign. So mentally, I was pigeonholed into having to make a kid starting his journey, like the games, not really thinking of this could be whatever we wanted. And that's kind of where that started for me. Because I think had we, like, thrown that out the window and not had that context going into it, I probably would have not been a kid.
Yeah.
But I think
I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna be, and then you said that, and then I thought about the games, and I was like, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I ended up building my character.
Yeah.
Was based on that.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
got the
kind of
same thing
been
from Jordan.
like a
Though.
blessing in disguise, though, too, where a lot of what's happened narratively, it makes more sense because we're children. Like, we have that aspect of like, man, this horrible thing happened. We need to go to an adult, and it's like, what adults can we trust? Who knows? Like, just the aspect of like little kids trying to save the day is really interesting to me, because if we were like 40-year-old like established trainers who were like really good, it would take away a lot of the risk, which I think is part of the fun of playing, because like each decision has consequences, whereas if we were more built up, maybe that wouldn't happen as much.
Sure,
Yeah.
maybe not. We'd make
So
some
hindsight,
decisions.
I'm really glad that we did it this way, but
Me too.
maybe if I had a different opportunity in the beginning, it would have been different.
Yeah, but and as I think we've all kind of mentioned it to a degree, but I've enjoyed taking the life experiences that have been happening in the campaign and kind of shaping how this person is growing up. Like that's a lot of fun to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say as a kid, you're probably more like black and white.
Yeah.
And you know
Whereas,
what you think is right and wrong.
yeah,
But as an adult, it's a
you're
lot
you
of
like
gray.
you're fleshed out.
Primarily gray.
Yeah, and it would take like a completely insane experience as an adult to change how you see the world.
Yeah, because you're already stuck in kind of your own
Yeah.
way.
So
Yeah.
that's the kind of fun part about playing a kid.
I would agree with that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks, y'all. That's all the questions I have. I don't know why I did
Now
that.
eat it.
The sacred totem you must consume! Ow!
Rolls to Joel for the win.
Yikes.
Thanks for submitting the questions on the Discord. We'll keep them coming, and maybe we'll do another one of these down the pipeline. But I'm happy that we got to do the big main ones.
Yeah, let us know
Yeah.
if you liked this format with asking questions to everybody, and if you'd want to see that again. I had fun. I don't know about you guys, but
Ah.
great questions as usual. A lot of difficult questions that I thought about a lot and still didn't have great answers for. So
It's good.
Yeah. Thank you,
Now
everyone.
you know how it is to run D&D.
You prepared to.
what's his last name?
They don't use those here. We need them. It's not how it works.
I want to do more of that. Just troll you.
But yeah, thanks everyone for watching, leaving comments, and being part of our amazing little community. We are very grateful for all that you guys do. Oh.
All the loves.
Yes, and we will see you in the next session. Well, actually, it'll be finishing up the gyms, but then the next session.
Bye.
Bye.